and thanks for tuning into the show that goes around the continent to bring you stories near and far. I'm Joke Rogers at Channels Television here in Lagos, and I'm joined by Vincent McCory from the Voice of America in Washington, D.C.
Well, thanks. I'm Vincent McCory at the Voice of America. Happy to be with you again for another edition of Africa 54. Let's start off with the latest from Nigeria. Joke Rogers in Lagos brings you that story.
In keeping with its mandate of recovering, reintegrating and rebuilding the Northeast region, one block at a time, the Northeast Development Commission is constructing classrooms, science laboratories, libraries, staff quarters, lecture halls and a handful of modern facilities that support functional literacy and numeracy in some select senior secondary schools in Gombe State. Our Gombe State correspondent, Chris Emmanuel, sent in this report.
According to a report by UNICEF, a total of 28.5 million children are in need of emergency support for education, as thousands of classes have been destroyed by the Boko Haram terrorist activities, which began 13 years ago. In the thick of the humanitarian crisis, refugees have poured into Gombe State, being the most peaceful state in the region, raising the number of children in need for basic amenities, including schools. In Gombe State, the Noah Yahya government has built over 1,500 classrooms, and this intervention by the Northeast Development Commission is to complement the governor's massive educational reforms.
The purpose of this visit is to hand over site to the contractor. We have gone around. Already we know the state of how the school is, and that is why His Excellency sought for the intervention of Northeast Development Commission to come and intervene in this school. So that is why NEDC are coming into this, and we are collaborating with them. So we have handed over the site officially to them, and we have gone around. There is going to be total reconstruction and rehabilitation of this school.
The Commissioner for Education believes the intervention will help in reducing the number of out-of-school children.
When we went around, you saw that there are more girls in the classrooms than the boys.
Sure.
So, and this is a senior secondary school. Most out-of-school children are found in the junior secondary schools. And His Excellency has renovated or built new schools, over 1,500 across the state.
You can't be constructing blocks and without even making sure that the teachers are well equipped with the updated knowledge, because we're in the 21st century. So hopefully Amadou Gombe will benefit this time around, as well as other schools in terms of intervention.
The Northeast Development Commission will augment efforts of Gombe State government in revamping 150 secondary schools in the state.
Commissioner for Education in Gombe State, Professor Aishatu Megari, joins us now for more on this. Glad to have you on Africa 54.
Glad to be here too.
So can you elaborate more on the specific challenges that the Northeast Development Commission aims to address through these infrastructure upgrades in schools within Gombe State?
We know Gombe State is at the center of the Northeast, bordering all the other 5 states. It has had its own share of the insurgency, and because it is one of the most peaceful states in the Northeast, there has been a lot of people coming into Gombe to find succor, and then the people of Gombe have embraced them. That had brought a lot of pressure on our resources, especially our schools. And since there are no IDP camps in Gombe, the internally displaced persons from the other states have assimilated into our communities and are in our schools. So we have had a lot of pressure on these schools. And the mandate of the Northeast Development Commission is to restore the Northeast after the insurgency of Boko Haram terrorists. So the infrastructure that the Northeast Development Commission is addressing infrastructural deficit and helping and collaborating with the state governments in fulfilling the mandate of Gombe State in terms of education service delivery.
And how do you envision these improved facilities impacting on the quality of education and student outcomes in your state?
Now, due to so much strain on our resources, there is a lot of pressure on them. And then we find out that whatever you put, if the teachers are not taken care of in terms of accommodation, you'll find that there will be no teachers in these schools, especially if they are in the rural areas, not concentrated in the main city or the metropolis. So His Excellency is in his wisdom, when the Northeast Development brought 500 houses, he said some of them should be domiciled in these mega colleges. We have 5 of these mega colleges, and they have benefited from 20 houses each. That is about 100 of them have been domiciled there. And then for those that already have houses, then he has asked them to reconstruct and renovate the houses that are in dilapidated situations. Like the government mega college in the metropolis Gombe, we have over 30 houses that are being rehabilitated and reconstructed. We have of 3 bedroom. We have over two bedroom. We have over 10. So in this long stretch, you find that with these additions, we are going to have over 100 houses in one school to cater for these our teachers.
Right, and it's one thing to build, is another thing to be able to sustain all these. So in your assessment of the needs of the people of the Northeast region, how can the Commission ensure sustainability and maintenance of all these facilities?
For the sustainability, we are strengthening the system, especially the school-based management committees and the PTAs. And what the Ministry of Education is doing will ensure sustainability of these projects for so many years that the people of Gombe will see the legacy of His Excellencies even in 100 years to come, inshallah.
Right. Commissioner for Education in Gombe State, Professor Aishatu Megari. A pleasure having you today on Africa 54.
Thank you very much for having me.
We want to know what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we cover. Join the conversation on Facebook. The address is Africa 54, and check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. After the break, Eswatini's battle against cervical cancer, a vaccination program aimed to prevent the disease, meets resistance. Welcome back to Africa 54. I'm Vincent Makori in Washington. Cervical cancer is the most common cancer among women in the southern African nation of Eswatini, while globally it's the 4th most common cancer. Despite this, a vaccination program in Eswatini that aims to prevent cervical cancer is meeting resistance. Nokumanya Musi has more from Mansini, Eswatini.
A vaccination campaign in Eswatini aims to protect schoolgirls against the human papilloma virus, or HPV. The virus can lead to cervical cancer, the most common cancer among women in Eswatini. But experts say the vaccine can prevent most cases of cervical cancer if it is administered before a girl or woman is exposed. Despite this, the vaccination campaign is stirring debates among parents in the Manzini region and elsewhere in the country. Some say the government did not provide enough information when it launched the program in June 2023. Precious Shongwe is a parent and cervical cancer survivor.
I am well versed because I work in the health center, but I still feel like I still have other certain questions as much as I support it, especially for other parents, because a lot has been said, a lot of myths that are still ongoing, and parents are not given a chance to ask questions. Even the girls are also not given a chance to ask.
The Ministry of Health is running the campaign in partnership with the World Health Organization, WHO, and Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, which provides funding for vaccines for children in poor countries. Sisana Mamba, a grandmother and mother, says families in rural areas did not get the information they needed.
I only learned about the vaccination program from the school, and then the following week I was handed consent forms to fill and sign for our children without adequate education on the matter. Parents like us, especially in rural areas, were left uninformed and signed with a lack of understanding.
But a spokesperson for the Ministry of Health says the government properly informed all communities before the vaccination drive and continues to do so.
We continue to educate communities, we continue to educate parents, and we engage in community dialogues in terms of the importance of taking the HPV vaccine. We also share information through various media platforms. We also use opportunities that we get during outreach, community outreach projects where we go and give health services.
Cedric Chewa is the president of the Eswatini Schools Committee and the Parents Association.
The government informed head teachers but left parents out. We have many questions that haven't been answered.
As the debate continues over the HPV vaccination, the vaccination campaign continues in a bid to protect young people from HPV and lower the highest rate of cervical cancer in the world. Nogukanya Musi, VOA News, Menzini, Eswatini.
The European Union has announced that Nigeria remains its largest trading partner with 35 billion euros in trade last year. At the EU-Nigeria Business Forum, the EU Commissioner to Nigeria noted that the EU-Nigeria trade relations are valued at 26 billion euros, a third of Nigeria's foreign direct investment.
The 9th EU-Nigeria Business Forum has brought together members of the diplomatic corps, Nigeria government officials, members of the private sector and Nigerians from all walks of life. After years of this partnership, officials see the forum as a time to take stock. How has each partner fared in bilateral relations?
The European Union remains by far Nigeria's largest trading partner, with a total trade last year of 35 billion euros, accounting for about 1/3 of Nigeria's foreign trade, and a balance, and I think we need a round of applause here, of over 10 billion euros in favor of Nigeria.
Reassuring words indeed, but in recent times, issue of relocation of multinational companies to other countries came to the fore at the meeting.
Unfortunately, we are not happy that our brothers, some of them have been leaving. Friends don't leave you when things are not looking good. If truly you are here for our mutual benefit, even in these challenges.
Government officials, however, insist that there's no cause for alarm. They itemize the present administration's plan to boost trade and investment.
Confronting decades of underinvestment and choices that should have been made but are just being made may come with some social cost and challenges, particularly for those at the lower end of the income strata.
The EU-Nigeria Business Forum plans to open up dialogue between the public and the private sector, as well as highlight the role of government. This is just as the European Union promises to invest in the nation's health, agricultural and digital space. Sarah Chimugu, Channels Television News.
The UN Environmental Agency says Africa is the lowest contributor of global greenhouse emissions, but remains the most vulnerable to the effects of climate change. A U.S. charity called Give Directly is helping some African communities build resilience to the warming climate. Juma Majanga reports from Baringo, Kenya.
In Loresho village in Kenya's Rift Valley region, residents celebrate with a traditional gospel song saying, "Thank you, God, for remembering us." The village is south of Lake Baringo, which has been seeing harsh conditions attributed to climate change.
As community here, we've experienced some long dry spell. At the same time, we've been experiencing a peculiar rainfall for short time or for a long time.
Climate scientists like Philip Omondi say human activities have polluted the atmosphere and nature is fighting to readjust itself.
When nature is fighting back, it is fatalistic. That is what we are experiencing now. We are having more of extreme climatic events and very frequent and quite biting.
70-year-old Lokutele Pakany says he lost all his livestock to the deadly drought in the Horn of Africa and was displaced from his ancestral home 2 years ago by the rising waters of Lake Baringo.
I had 2 farms, one on this side and one on the other side. I lost them all. Even my houses, everything was swept away.
American non-profit organization Give Directly is helping people like Lempakany by providing cash transfers of up to $1,000 to build resilience to climate change.
It is time, number one, for us to be able to get donations for the aid sector go directly in the hands of the people who need it.
Phoebe Marichon is one of the more than 6,750 households that Give Directly says it has helped in Baringo. The 32-year-old mother of 5 says the charity has helped her rebuild her life.
There's a big difference in my life. At least now I can get school fees for my children because I have a small business.
Give Directly's Baringo field officer Evans Ngetich says the program is working.
We've seen recipients build houses. They're able to improve their living conditions.
As experts project effects of climate change to continue and even expand, Omondi says the best way to help communities is by giving them capacity to adapt. Juma Majanga, VOA News, Baringo, Kenya.
In Cross River State, Nigeria, there's an age-long practice among the Efik people that can be traced to the Hebrew culture. The tradition called the fattening room is to groom and raise girls or intended brides according to the norms of the Efik people. Our correspondent Kelly Agiga tells us more.
This is Ikwamma Edet Ekpenyong, and it's her big day as the wait is almost over. Minute by minute, the traditional makeup artist with her magic fingers spearheads the transformative process of the maiden and bride-to-be. In this part of the world, traditional rulers are pivotal to such engagement, and so we visit the palace of the village head of Ikodekaidem in Calabar Municipality, His Royal Highness Reverend Dr. Effium Ita Eyo Effium Ogogo. The walls of the palace are embellished with historical portraits like this one, which has names and pictures of old professionals with roots from the ancient city of Calabar. Our camera lens also captures a few books on the table, including a Bible in Efik language, which according to the monarch is the first Nigerian language the Bible was translated into. My first question to the monarch is to give our viewers a historical significance of the age-long tradition of fattening room.
The word fattening room does not exist in Efik culture. Nkugo is a proper name. It is the colonizers, the Europeans, the English, who gave that fattening room because of what they saw. But the Hebrew word that is turned actually means to seclude. For a Hebrew child, a male child, to be known as an Israelite, that child must be circumcised.
Thereafter, Princess Chief Ukpa Duke, a former broadcaster with the Nigerian Television Authority, explains the significance of the costume and makeup.
Well, this is my ngwo. She's wearing the crown here. Etenga, we call it etenga.
Okay.
This is long because she's the first daughter. We call it adiara in our language. So it has to be long. Otherwise, if she's to do one second daughter, it will be half here. But as long as this, she's adiara in the family, first daughter.
Being fat or perhaps chubby remains a symbol of status and power among the people of Efik Kingdom. Kelly Egiga, Channels Television News.
Zimbabwe is facing long hours of power cuts due to its dilapidated infrastructure and the impact of recurring droughts on hydropower. To help, the United Nations Development Programme is installing solar panels on government-owned health facilities. Columbus Mavunga reports from Bulawayo.
Health centers in 15 countries have installed solar power through the United Nations Development Programme's Solar for Health project. That includes more than 1,000 health centers in Zimbabwe, the largest program in the world, says UNDP resident representative in Zimbabwe, Aloyadele Odusola.
If you put all the renewable energy capacity that we have generated in the country, is 13.03 megawatts.
Zimbabwe has for years been facing energy shortages. Long hours of power cuts affect even hospitals. Dr. Nasisi Janga is the Chief Medical Officer at Impilo Central Hospital, one of the health institutions which have benefited from the Solar for Health project.
All the news that used to make the headlines in the newspapers that Impilo has no electricity for 2 days, 3 days, that should be a thing of the past.
Impilo is off-grid now, which means Impilo will totally be independent because of this solar, so which is marvelous to us.
Authorities hope the switch to solar energy is seamless at all health facilities in Zimbabwe installed with solar power, and excess is released to the national grid.
Well, and that's our show for today. You can find all the continent's top news and world news online at voaafrica.com. Check it out. I'm Vincent McCory in Washington. Channels Television has our last word.
We look forward to bringing you another show next week. To remember that channelstv.com is your source for news and other programming. I'm Joka Rogers. Thanks for watching and goodbye.